Perhaps you have seen those motivational posters which sometimes show up in office walls or in hallways. They're usually beautiful pictures with some kind of hopefully inspiring quote, right? Now, if you had ever been in my office, you would see that I have a number of de-motivational posters. They look like motivational posters, but they have a slightly dark sense of humor, right? One shows this beautiful ocean scene with a tree bending far under the wind, and it says, "That which does not kill me postpones the inevitable." There's another one which takes a bit of a dour look on the joys of being in a meeting, right? It's, these hands put together with the saying, meetings, none of us is as dumb as all of us. My favorite demotivational poster by far shows this shooting star, and it's called Wishes. And it has the words, "When you wish upon a falling star, your dreams can come true. Unless it's really a meteorite hurtling to the earth which will destroy all life, then you're pretty much hosed no matter what you wished for, unless it's death by meteor." For some folks like me, humor is one of the things that helps us deal with one of life's most difficult realities. The fact that everyone suffers. That everyone suffers. As Evelyn Underhill put it, there is a night shift. And sooner or later, we are all put on it. Now, sometimes the sufferings are minimal, right? At other times, they are so intense that they make us wonder how we would go on, or maybe if we even want to. What do we do with that? And more urgently, in light of today's gospel, what does this do to our relationship with God? Today, Jesus is confronted with an age-old question in light of the news that had reached him about the slaughter of the Galileans at the hands of Pilate, or of a tragic tower incident that killed 18 people. The question comes to Jesus, was that God's idea? Did God do that? It's long been a question. If God is so good, why do innocent people suffer? Unfortunately, most of the cliches we use at funeral homes or hospitals or other places of suffering give us the wrong answers. You've heard those cliches, perhaps you've said them. I sure hope you don't believe what they seem to suggest, that God kills people or causes some suffering for some purpose. Those statements like, God never gives you more than you can handle, or God never closes a door without opening a window, seem to suggest that God closed that window or sent the suffering for some reason. Even that ubiquitous phrase, everything happens for a reason, is problematic. Yes, God can bring good from the sufferings that life throws at us. Who has not experienced some blessing that was born of suffering? Yes. But that does not mean that God is the one who sent the suffering in order to bring some kind of good out of it. Or God just doesn't do that. These two things are true simultaneously. One, God does not cause suffering or death. And two, it's okay to be angry at God anyway. I mean, God can handle our anger. The God I know yearns for our honesty and prayer. And if we can't bring ourselves to God as we are, right, with all of our angers and joys and hurts and confusions, well, what kind of God would that be? I mean, it's better to have it out with God than to just kind of slip away from the relationship. And sometimes people carry the burden of worry that someone they love got sick or died or suffered some great loss because God was punishing them for their sins or because they did not have enough faith. No. God does not do that. And if that is something you carry inside, I so invite you, encourage you to do the work that helps you let go of that. God does not send suffering to punish us. Well, God does not send suffering at all. A woman I know was talking to God about the horribly abusive home she had survived as a child. She said, I would always ask God, why did you let that happen, God? Why? Why, God? Why? Why didn't you stop it? And she said, so one day I was cleaning the bathroom, scrubbing the side of the toilet, and I heard the answer. It was like without words that still God said to me, God said, they are free. If I forced them to do anything, I would be just like them, forcing my will on someone. And she realized that God had made humans free and God would never force us to do or not do anything. And she cried with relief because she knew, and she knew that she knew, that God was not like her dad or her uncle. Going forth and forever, she knew that what happened to her was not God's fault. For some, even if we don't believe that God sends us suffering, there is this second challenge, this unformulated sense that, well, then God must be aloof from our pain, our anguish. You know, maybe God is not causing it, but God must not care or be somehow detached or unaware. Again, I ask, what kind of God would that be? Not one with whom I'd be interested in having a relationship with. Now, any inclination to imagine God as aloof from our suffering and our pain is forever given light to by the life of Jesus, by the message he proclaimed, by his compassionate care for the underdog and the lowly and the outcast, by his own suffering, and even by his own death. Crosses or crucifixes are found in every Catholic institution and in most Catholic homes. And the image of this reviled and bloodied victim dying a torturous death on a cross stands forever for us as a powerful statement of the love of God, the God who has embraced our humanity in its fullness, embraced our suffering, taken on every pain we've known, right? The God who in Jesus suffers with us, right? God has chosen to be with us always, right? And God is not aloof in the tough times, but perhaps especially near then. Wherever there is suffering, there is God. And that false understanding that God causes suffering or death or doesn't care has led many people to reject God or just kind of like give up. What I say is, be mad if you want. Question if you want. And as is true with every relationship, there's always that time when we just have to stand silent before the mystery of another. But please, if you're going to reject God, please don't reject the false image of who God really is. An image that Jesus tries to get out of our heads today, that because Jesus wants us to know this about God. One, God does not cause suffering or death. Two, God is not aloof from our pain, or distant in our heartache. And three, in our struggles, God is very near, weeping with us, holding us, loving us, and working to bring good from those sufferings. Now that's the truth of God, and that is a God I so want to know and to serve. A God who is truly worth my life.